inspiring.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have any inspiring words to kick us off?
Let's see, don't eat yellow snow. That's not very inspiring, but.
Hey, well, I excited to be with the three of us today. This is probably maybe the smallest class I've ever taught. So Sherry, Casey, Tana, hope we have a good time. And I hopefully that this discussion is useful. At the very least, you're going to get an hour CE credit. Maybe that's all you need, Sherry, because it's time coming up to get this thing renewed. So at the very end, if really, like, I would love for you to have one or two takeaways of some things that you could do related to storytelling and video, which is what this class is going to be about. Let me see if I can arrange this so I can see your faces still and see the slides. And all, does that work okay? Can you see the whole slide, or is the Zoom thing in the way? Is it good? Okay. And Derek, welcome. Glad to have you here with us. How you'll get the credit for CE is if you can just text Tana the 3 keywords that I'll share.
Actually, sorry,
or if you have your screens on, then we don't need to do the keywords. So
no, I actually have a Google Doc that I will put in the chat when it's over to make sure that they're following and paying attention, and then they need to fill that out before the Zoom is done so that they can get credit. Sorry, I should have told you that.
Oh, no, that's great. So here's kind of the next, we're going to crank this out in 50-55 minutes, maybe even end early if there's good behavior. I'm looking at you, Casey, so just kidding. Quick 1 minute on just my background. I don't know if you know we've been able to meet, but I grew up in Bountiful and moved around in Central and South America and Europe, and then came back here to Utah. Worked for Adobe doing sales and marketing for them for 8 years, and then I worked on a real estate team doing lead generation, and that is one of my passions, to connect with people and help them achieve their goals, like what they want in life. And it really starts with being able to communicate effectively. And that's really what one of the core skills that this class is about. We'll talk about storytelling and how impactful that is. And then in the second half, we'll talk about video, which is what I've noticed related to generating business in real estate that are referral led. That comes about in social media by using the skill of storytelling. And so when you think of social media and the things that you engage in like the most, it's usually story-based. And so the second half, we'll talk about videos, and I'll share 4 or 5 videos of real estate agents and we'll judge them. I'd love for you to give me your feedback and thoughts on what works and what doesn't work. And I'd love by the end, if you decide to do video, because you don't have to. Storytelling is how you can connect with people one-on-one, and then video is you doing the storytelling on video, and you're able to leverage and connect with even more people. And so we'll cover the how, where, and maybe even like the when or the frequency and the what. So that's kind of the outline. Let me start by telling a story, if that's okay, because we're talking about stories today. I mentioned I worked at Adobe, and I loved working here. I learned a lot from this business, and the way that they go to market was fascinating to me. You know, they have millions and millions of customers. This was my desk. You can see I had 3 monitors across from me. My buddy Ben. I don't know if I can zoom in on this picture, but doesn't he just look engaged and just in love with his work? You know, look at his body language. Can you see that? He's just like, If we could zoom in on that on his screen, you'd see he's shopping for pants. And while I was working there, like about the last year, I was not growing and learning and not having fun. I really was not enjoying the work that I was doing, and everything had really plateaued for me in kind of all respects. And it was during this summer that I was putting in a sprinkler system, and it was so stinking hot. I remember having this thought, oh, I live in Eagle Mountain, just up against Camp Williams. And I remember just thinking, oh, if I could just jump into a pool, it just feels so amazing right now. Like I'm dying of heat. And I remember having the thought, why can't I have a pool? And I realized, oh, maybe I can. And then I started to look up how much it costs to have a pool, and I did not have 200,000. So I kept researching online and found that they have natural swimming pools, and these are really common in Europe, and they are naturally filtered. And I just kind of fell in love with this idea of having like swimming in fresh water. And, is there a way to keep out the algae and the bacteria and, the bad pathogens? And so I undertook in, I think it was the summer of 2014 to build a pool by myself. And it was way harder than I thought it was going to be. And I quit probably 3 or 4 times, where I like threw my shovel down, said a few choice words, and went inside and told my wife, I'm not doing this. I'm not going back out there. Because sometimes it was, I didn't know anything about building retaining walls. I didn't know anything about liners and how to protect them. I didn't know about water and filtration systems or waterfalls or pump pressure or plumbing. There's 20 other things like that I had to learn so that this vision of what I wanted would come about. And it took, I told my wife, I was like, I started in early March. And I said, yeah, by Memorial Day, we'll be swimming. I can get this hammered out in probably like 7 or 8 weeks. Hopefully you guys, caught the humor in that. But it was after Labor Day, like end of September is when I actually filled it up. But here's what it looked like. Quick side note. You see that old carpet in the hole? That is how much my wife loves me. For my birthday that summer, she went and dumpster dove. Seriously, they grabbed carpet out of the dumpster, and you put that old carpet down between the liner and the dirt so that no rocks or roots would poke through the liner and puncture it. Here's kind of another picture with, I wanted it to have like a natural look, and so I put gravel over the liner. And here's what it looked like completed. I should probably have another follow-up picture, like 6 years later, but here's a bit. My wife let me put a zip line over it a couple years later. Anyway, I remember when I quit and I went inside, after a day or two, I would just start thinking about the problem again. And I remember anchoring. That's the word that I would say I'd resonate with. I anchored, and I could envision and feel myself swimming in this pool. And I could envision playing with my kids there. And I knew that it was going to happen. And so this little roadblock, this little problem that I can't figure out right now, someone knows how to solve it. It's either online or I can call somebody. And within a few days, usually I could resolve the problem or get over and figure out like what the next step was. And I can't tell you like how impactful this experience was for me, because at that point, it was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life, building the pool. It took over 1,400 hours. It wasn't a lot. Like I did all the labor, and I think it was $12,000 in parts. But I'll tell you, like since I built that, and each summer, like me and my kids and my wife, like we spend almost every single day out in the pool together. And it has been just so impactful to our family, just the family time that we have. And it helped me realize, like, if I want something enough, I can achieve it. I can get it. And I hope you feel the same thing related to anything that you struggle with or have pain in your life, or if you felt like you've been in a rut, you really have the ability to solve that problem, to remove the friction, to create the life that you want. You have to desire it, and you have to put action in place. And for me, when after I completed this process of, like, I had that thought of, why can't I swim in a pool? Like that little seed that was planted to the fruition of this little pond. And then when that was done, and I felt just this accomplishment and how much love and connection I felt with my kids because we had this place to be together, I realized I have some friction and pain at work. I don't want to be here. And the next seed that was planted for me was, why can't I have my own business? And that was the next stage for me. And I really invite you to consider and spend the time, please, to write down those things. Where's my friction? Where's my pain? Why isn't this vision of this life that I know that can be mine? What is holding me back? And then do these two things. Who can help me? What should I read? Who can help me? What can I read? And I'm sure there's books, I'm sure there's things online, but the other one is also equally important. It's important to find somebody, talk to them, and be around them. And they often have like an energy or an attitude that is actually going to help you overcome. And sometimes it's not even a thing you have to know. It could just be an attitude or a belief, or breaking down one of those, false beliefs. So I tell you that story for a couple of reasons. One, just it's a cool story. I love ponds. I love water. I love my family, and often a lot of us like the people we live with too. But my question I want to start off with is, how have you noticed storytelling has impacted your life? Like, does it capture your attention, or why do we storytell? So just a couple of those questions. Anyone willing to comment?
Usually you tell a
That's
story.
how they. Oh, go ahead.
Usually you tell a story because you want people to be enlightened. You want them to know something.
Thank you, Sherry. Yeah, it's convey some information. Yeah. You want someone to know something? And then, was that Tama or who?
Well, it also, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It also makes it personal. It brings you into their lives, and it helps you to feel real, to be real, a real person, and so that they will relate with you, and it will help you that they have common factors, and it helps them feel personalized instead of just another person.
Yeah, it's like really relatable, right?
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
It's a great way to connect with somebody when you share something personal. Any other thoughts? Okay, so storytelling. There's something really powerful about storytelling. I don't know exactly why it works, but we as humans have been telling stories to each other for a long, long time. And I think there's something really deeply ingrained in all of us that when someone tells a story, we pay attention and we listen, right? Often there's like a beginning of a story, and then there's a middle and there's an end. And how do we usually feel when we are coming in midstream? We don't hear the beginning of the story. It's kind of hard, right? It's hard to connect with, and we don't know like the beginning parts. And so we really want to listen to the whole thing, because if we hear this, then it's going to probably play into later and whatever it is that, why this person is sharing that. And so we pay attention, like we really laser in. Have you had this experience where, maybe you've been in a meeting, maybe a CE class, or maybe it's a church meeting, or you're at the board, or a meeting. You're physically there. All of a sudden, and you're thinking about something else, or you're thinking about where you're going to be later, and you're not present. And then all of a sudden, whoever is talking, they start telling a story, and you like zoom in and you focus on them. I think that's pretty common among us, that for whatever reason, what this story that's being shared, I'm going to listen to it. I've had this a few times where, you know, I go to church and I sit there, and there's a lot of philosophy that's talked about sometimes. And it's just like, here's my philosophy on this and this and this. And all that stuff is very, I would say, in my opinion, if I'm going to judge it, and I will, it's very forgettable and it doesn't move me much. But when someone tells a story, I actually listen and I pay attention, because there's a lot of information that's contained in a personal story. There's a lot of metadata that's shared that maybe that person didn't intend to share. They might have a purpose for why they shared something, but I'm going to be able to actually capture a lot more when they share a personal story from their life about what they value. You know, how do they make decisions? What's the process they go through to think through and analyze and, you know, judge things or value things. And so all of that stuff gets conveyed. Like the story I told you, there was words I used and how I used them and the emotion maybe behind what I said, but there's also this meta stuff that I didn't say that I care about my kids or love my kids, but I'm sure you can infer that. And so I guess that's what I'm saying is, if you, as we turn this into real estate, if you are in, I want to be the top of mind business, you should be in the storytelling business, because storytelling captures attention. And when someone, like, how marvelous and incredible is this experience when you talk with someone and they all of a sudden bring up real estate and you get to have an opportunity to talk about real estate, or they ask a question, how's the market doing, Sherry? I hope that you'll consider, why are they asking that question? And maybe even ask them, like, yeah, well, what makes you curious about that? And maybe it's just they want to connect with you because they know you're in real estate. But I'd hope that I want to give you this invitation that when real estate comes up with your sphere, whoever you're with, that you don't default so much to data analysis and facts and things, but maybe more take an opportunity to tell a good real estate story, because you're going to capture attention like nothing else does. You'll be able to instill that deeply in their memory, unlike anything else does. If you share, like, oh, days on market, right? How many homes sold last month? All of those things are irrelevant within a week or two or a month or two. But a good real estate story is going to get embedded, because that's going to, what you're doing is you're building in their brain. Here's what Casey cares about. Here's what she values. Here's that one story she told me. Those things are going to get ingrained because you're putting images, you're putting emotion, maybe sounds, and just your values connecting to the story in them. And if it's a really good story, guess what? Maybe they'd even tell it to somebody else. How cool would that be? So another invitation I give that I'd love for you to take on is think through some of your good real estate stories, and please take the time to write them down. I believe it's really important to slowly formulate your thoughts and pick your words, write it down in a concise way, read it through, maybe share it with someone. Because if you've had the experience of telling a story, maybe 20, 30, 40 times or whatever in your life, you get pretty good at telling this story, right? And maybe it's fun, like you really enjoy telling this story because there's some like fun parts and things that they're not expecting, and you get the joy and satisfaction of telling a good story. You are paying attention to people, their facial expressions as you're telling the story. This is really cool how this happens. Like, there's a part of your brain that's watching them. And so that the next time you tell the story, you'll probably tell it a little bit different. And I think it's even at a subconscious level, like oh, I think they like this part. Maybe I could use this word, or maybe I gotta just like time it a little bit better when I do the grand review or whatever it is. And so, yes, in 30, 40 tellings of a story, you're gonna get better at it. You can also short circuit that process to go from here to being really good at telling that story by writing it down and figuring out what are the parts of this that are important that I want to convey. What are the parts that are funny or interesting? What are the parts that I can't leave out? What are the parts I should probably cut out? I keep thinking like I'm not going to share this about my mother-in-law, but I'm going to share it. I love my mother-in-law, not but, and I love how she tells her stories. And not for usually the reasons people like listening to stories, because she has this ability that she starts telling about this story about her sister Kathy. And then she's talking about something that happened, just a few weeks ago. And then all of a sudden she jumps over to her son and what her son's kids are doing in the present. Oh, and then, actually, they actually had a dog and had puppies, and then they sold them, and this crazy thing happened, and they moved out of state. And she like 15, 20 minutes later, I'm not even kidding you, 15 or 20 minutes later, somehow she's able to come back to like this first story that she started and finish it. And I love following just like that string of what's happening, trying to anyway. But anyway, most people do not like that flow of storytelling. And so we usually like, here's this character, a person, there's an action and a place. And then there's this flow of here's what happened, and here's the end. And so I'd encourage you, like, when you start telling a story, to start with that. Like, there's a person, here's the action, and a place. That's how you kind of trigger and let someone know, oh, I'm telling you a story now. So first invitation, write down a few stories, maybe practice them. And then this week, I'm going to invite you to tell 3 people those real estate stories. I promise you, you've got some good real estate stories. You should use them in a really programmatic way and part of your business, because that's how you're going to stay top of mind, right? Any other thoughts on stories? There's one other thing I wanted to share, but have any of you gotten a good referral based off of a story or something that you shared that connected with somebody and it moved them? Okay. I do want to share one more story. Maybe 2. So stories are really embedded into like who we are as people. My mom's dad, his last name is Schlink, and his dad was German, but when they immigrated here to the US, he didn't have a lot of skills. And so he worked in a coal mine. And I've heard these stories about him working in the coal mine for like 30, 35, 40 years, 35 years. And he moved up in the ranks enough that he could operate the elevator in the coal mine. And he wasn't allowed to bring any books. It was a really boring job. Like, there was one light, and he would bring, the people up and down and the equipment up and down. So he would operate the elevator, and he would rip pages out of books and fold them up and put them in his pocket so that he could have like a piece of paper, something that he could read throughout the day. And I can't imagine doing that work for even a week. And that really just sinks deep in me, because I know who he is as a man, and just how hard and difficult and the drudgery of that work. And when I think of every single job that I've had in my life from 16 till now, it has been easy. It's been cakewalk. It's been like hardly any work compared to like the stuff that he did. And it really just fills me with gratitude. It fills me with, he laid a foundation for me, and I'm not going to squander, what he did in his life, because we're connected. he created opportunities for me that are directly connected with me. And so how he lived his life and the stories that my mom told about him and my uncles and aunts told about him changed me. And I start from a new place because of who he is and the stories that he lived out. And it's the same, like, even from our nation, you know, our founding of this country. And I don't want to go off on, like, you know, American exceptions or whatever, but I've lived half of my life out of the US, and there is something different about here. You know, I lived in Central and South America and over in Europe a few times. And the feeling of, I can go and create the life that I want. I can go spend 5 to 10 years and just build this idea and build this investment. And all of this work is going to pay off because I feel safe and secure. That came about because of the founding of this country and the stories, you know, that was created. That feeling does not exist in Central and South America. There's an underlying fear of, well, why would I go and spend 5 to 10 years of my life, blood, sweat, and tears to go create something that this person or this group could come and steal and break away and, you know, take from me? And so they don't do it. And so these stories are really deeply ingrained. I guess what I'm saying is they move us. I invite you to think about your own family history and the stories that make you who you are and how you show up in the world. Because the fact that we can interact and exchange ideas and be safe around each other and grow is incredible. Okay, so switching over to video. Video, when you connect with somebody in person, that is obviously at the top of the pyramid of connection and ability to move someone and help them achieve their goals. Right under that would probably be, you know, over the phone, where you're connecting with someone. Again, it's you and them. And then just below that, I would say, is video of you telling a story where you're connecting with someone and sharing something valuable. And then all the other things, you know, from texts and emails and newsletters and all those other marketing things, they're useful and helpful. But these top 3 or 4 are, I would encourage you to start from the top down and make sure that I have a plan. And where am I going to put my body every day at work? Who am I going to call every day and how often? And what videos am I going to do and how often? What's the plan for those? And then these other ones are important, but I would nail these 3 first. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put up a video. Here's the interactive part. So I want to share a video, probably just 20 to 30 seconds. And if you wouldn't mind just going off mute and giving your feedback, like what works in this video, what doesn't work. And I'm going to write them down here on this Google slide. So here's the first video. Hi, I'm Riley. I'm standing in, but Harry will be your next condo. That's a Washington. Belgium. That's not 1, but 2. A kitchen. And a freshly renovated living room. Just for you. We don't forget the amenities. Like a wall. You don't let me do that. Okay. You get the drift on that one. So what did you like in that video?
I couldn't hear any of the sound.
You couldn't hear the sound? Oh, shoot.
It just kind of, I could hear it, but it was cutting out. And I just was wondering if that's what you wanted to catch as a don't, or if it was just what was happening today.
Yeah, let's put that over here. Thanks, Casey. Don't do bad sound. Oh, shoot. I don't know if this is going to work very well if you can't hear it. So he's basically introducing the house and just saying, hey, I'm Riley LePage, and here's, you know, what could be your next condo. And then he kind of showed each room, but you could maybe get the drift of what it was. Any other things you did not like or that you liked, or what worked or what did not work?
I like that it moves smoothly, you know, other than the cutting out, but it looked like he was moving from room to room and he was dressed nice. So, I don't know.
Okay, like that,
He was engaging.
engaging. Any other do's or don'ts or?
I like that he was swimming in the pool because it shows probably that that's one of the amenities.
Yeah. What did you think about him inserting himself in the pool? Did you like that or not like that?
I liked it.
I liked it.
I don't know, I guess in the property or the amenities. Videos perform
I'm
better.
sorry, but he came across very cocky.
He did, yeah.
And I
did
wouldn't want,
not.
I understand what he was doing with the swimming pool and in the bathroom combing his hair, but no, sorry, no, thank you.
Yeah. Tana, why do you think he did that? I mean, it's probably his personality, but
Right, he's trying to be more in tune and touchable, approachable. Like, hey, this is how you can do your hair. Or, hey, this is how you swim. But yeah, no.
yeah. I kind of got the vibe that he was selling himself more than even the house.
Absolutely.
And he might have even crossed a line where do you remember seeing like he was in the kitchen and he's like, this is a tiny kitchen. He's like showing how bad it is. Like that was maybe he was doing a disservice for his clients.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of us couldn't hear what he was saying. So
Yeah.
we didn't, so.
Well, let's try another one. I hope this one. Hopefully you can hear this.
It's the perfect home. And Jack, this one has over 2,800 total square feet. The thing love that shit. Great kitchen.
The volume's not working.
It's
At
not.
all.
It's like it's trying to render. So you'll hear it every once in a while.
Okay. That was hard if you can't hear it. So she was kind of just walking through and pretending like, it was staged. So what did you like or not like about that? Even if you couldn't hear what was being said. Did she present herself well?
She was dressed nice and she was still selling herself, which is kind of what you need to do, but
Did you think it was funny that she was, pretending like the house had furniture and stuff in it? Or did it not work for you?
Oh, that's so funny. I thought she was just throwing her coat on the
it
ground.
didn't work for me.
It
Nope,
didn't work
didn't
for
like
me.
it.
I didn't like it.
Mm-mm.
Being funny is hard, right? Like you don't know exactly how it's going to be received, right? If you're naturally funny, I think I didn't point at myself because I'm not naturally funny, but if you're naturally funny, then you can just be yourself and it doesn't matter. But if you're trying too hard, maybe like she was trying too hard. Here's a few other things that I'll add on here with her video is she spoke really clearly. Sorry you couldn't hear that, but she did. And I say she had good energy with what she was trying to do and like how she presented herself. Maybe we'll skip this next video because you're not hearing it. It's kind of like missing some of the point. But I'll add a few more strategies and things to consider if you're going to do video. So one of those is the first, I'd say 3 to 5 seconds in a video are the most important. And it almost does not matter what you say after that, honestly. If you have the first 3 to 5 seconds are good enough to capture, right, that hook where someone is willing to watch the rest, then you want it to be okay. But the first 3 to 5 seconds is where you should spend a lot of your time and energy and developing that skill. So it should be visually interesting, and you should be the own judge of it. Like, would I watch this video if this showed up all of a sudden on my screen? Here's one thing that I saw that I really liked, and I'll give you some other examples of videos that you can do. But I saw this video. I was on the toilet and the mute was on, but this is what I saw. So like, it was this guy walking through an office like this, and he was going like this. Do you see like my facial expression? And then he went like this, and then he did it again. And so that was the very beginning of the video. I didn't hear anything. All I visually saw was he's walking through this office. He's presenting himself really well. And then all of a sudden, oh, dang, I made a mistake. And he just laughed. And then he backs up and he starts over. And for me, like, that really caught my attention. I loved it. I loved that he led with vulnerability. He led with this blooper, right? That's what that was. And I thought it was captivating enough that I wanted to watch it. So first 5 seconds, I'd invite you, if you're doing video, think about how can I make these first 3 to 5 seconds visually interesting, engaging, so that someone would want to watch the rest. Your energy level, I would say, has to be 20 to 30% higher than you normally are in real life. There's something that gets lost in in translation. So I just say up it. How many of you done this video or seen this video? Hey, this is it's Jason. I'm doing this open house today from 12 to 2, and I'd just love for you to come by and check it out. It's this Bed Bath, and look forward to seeing you guys. And have you seen that video? Hopefully none of you have done it. I don't want to, anyway. So energy level, and then your call to action. You should be answering the question, so what? I'm doing this video, so what? Like, what do I want them to do? What do I want to have happen? One invitation I'd have you, it will take you 3 to 5 minutes, is go watch, go find a company that you like that spends millions on ads. I just want you to like analyze what's the template that they are following in building this ad. And so like, it should be like a 30-second, maybe a minute, but 30 seconds, right? A good one, even 15. But I want you to ask these questions and answer them as you watch their advertisement. What are they doing, right? What is happening on the screen? What's the sound? Who's this? What's the story being told? They're all story-based, by the way. What do they want me to know? What do they want me to feel? What do they want me to do? Like that's usually what the template that they follow. And I'd encourage you to like watch a few of those and go through that and write it down and say, this is what they're trying, this is what they're doing. Here's what they want me to know. Here's what they want me to feel. Here's what they want me to do because of this. Right? Are they trying to create a fear? Right? Some of that. Have you noticed? I'd just love to open this up. Like what do you love about videos? And what captures your attention?
It lets you know their personality. And I think it helps you decide whether you like them or not.
Yeah.
A lot better than a picture, just a picture.
Yeah, like video captures your energy and who you are and like how you present yourself. So I agree with that. Thank you. Any other things? Okay. I'll add a couple more things on here. Let me put these words on here.
I think when you make a video, it not only makes it more personal, but I think you're also showing that you're more committed and you're not just showing a picture, that you're going out of your comfort zone and trying to make a video, whether it's funny or annoying or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you, Tana. I think interesting is an important word when it comes to videos. And when you're in real estate, I believe there's something interesting about every house. There's something interesting about how it was built, how it's used, what's in the yard. Every house has stories. How would you go about getting those? Is a question I'd have for you. How would you go find out stories about a house or a neighborhood or a community? You have to ask, right? So if you had a listing or if you had an open house, that's one thing I'd invite you to do, is to go and talk to a couple of neighbors. It's not going to take you even 10 minutes. Just go knock on their door and say, hey, I'm doing this open house. I got this listing. I want to understand this neighborhood better. Like, why do people move here? Get that information is important. That's going to help you to be more relevant, more connected, to understand the value of this place. And it's going to connect you with the people that also maybe are going to buy or sell as well. And you can even go above and beyond. Like if you're going to do an open house, go get a video of a couple of neighbors and ask them, hey, why did you move here? Why do you live here? Why do people move here? Would you mind being in this video? Let me give you a $10 gift card. Tell me 10 seconds why you moved to this neighborhood. Let me get another one. Let me get another one. And then have your seller tag all of those people in the video and have them post it. And tag you. Watch that thing blow up. You won't even have to pay any money. The last word, remarkable. I won't show this video again because you won't be able to hear it, fortunately. And then I'll share some ideas of videos you can make. But this agent, Seth O'Brien, he's someone you could follow or watch. Short story on him is he started in real estate like early 2000s, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 or whatever, like mid 2000s. And he started doing videos in a helicopter talking about neighborhoods and listings. You know, in that time, you could do drones and you could do a voiceover, but he didn't do that. He did something different, which was he paid for someone to take him up in a helicopter to video himself talking about these neighborhoods and these listings and just the properties. And people like that. They thought that was interesting. And what that changed into then was he started to take people up in helicopters, buyers, to look at listings, to go look at neighborhoods. And what do you think those people talked about that weekend when they were with their family and friends? They talked about this experience that Seth O'Brien gave them. Oh, yeah, we went up in our helicopter with our realtor. We were looking at houses. So he gave them an experience that was, again, that key word is remarkable. Last year, Seth O'Brien and his team, they grossed, I think it was $1.3 billion in gross commission income with a B. So you can do really well in real estate all by yourself with your tools and your ability and your mouth. Those are your tools. You can also use video and do it in a way that is going to help connect with people. And if it's interesting and remarkable, others will talk about you and what you're doing. That is worth making a remark about, which is what that word means. So that's one lens that you could filter your marketing and your videos through is this remarkable? And every video doesn't have to be remarkable, but what you're doing at the core of what you represent and how you're trying to help people buy and sell, that should be remarkable if you want other people to help you. Okay, the last few minutes here, then we will wind down. I love this idea when you think about like, well, what video should I do? Right? I don't know how to, I don't know what are the topics. That's the easiest thing to solve. Go to Google, you type in these keywords. First-time home buyers. What's it like buying in Utah? What's it like selling in Utah? What is 2023 housing market doing in Utah? And then when you scroll down, you don't even like read any of this stuff in the first 3 or 4 posts. You scroll down to the section that says, people also ask. So let me show you what that looks like. This is going to give you like lots and lots of content. So here's the search, scroll down, people also ask. So we got all this information. You never have to like wonder what should I do a video on? Those are the things that Google, has spent billions of dollars researching and building a platform that is engaging with people, that people who ask these questions with these keywords are also interested in learning about these things. And so those are directly connected, and it's specific to geographic location. And so it's a very easy way for you to build out, well, these are the videos that people care about. And here's a few on the screen. Here's a few more. I'll give you. You could easily do 5 to 10 videos on every house. And they should be short and concise. Like under 30 seconds. Get really good at doing like a 30-second video. And maybe it's even something like this. Okay, here's my camera. Maybe you have like a, you're stabilizing it. But hey, check out this pizza oven. I am so excited to do this open house. Can you imagine living in this house and like pulling some pizza out, eating it with your friends and family? Like, oof, you can smell that. Come and check out this house with me. I'm doing this open house. There's 3 other things that are really interesting about this house. See you guys at 3 o'clock. Like a short video with good energy, call to action. That's one video. Go do that in a house 3 to 5 times and post that. Like the consistency is the hardest thing that people struggle with. Is this working? Like I've already done 20 videos, right? And I should keep going. One of the easiest ways I found as far as like when and posting is once a month, I'm going to sit down for an hour. And if it's you all by yourself, or if you have a team or whatever that's helping, like this is when we're going to come up with all the ideas. Here's when we're going to film the 5 videos. And then if you have someone editing them, like have those edited, but over the next 2-3 months, this is when we're going to post those out. And so once a month, now you have, once a month you can create them and then you can spread them out. Because doing a video is the creating part, the filming part, and if there's an editing part, and then the posting part. Like there's 4 hurdles right there. And so a lot of people struggle with, if I do a video, it's just so hard to go through all of them. And then they wait a month or 2, and then they got to go to all of them again. So what I found is the easiest way is, here's our 3 to 5 ideas. Here's the 3 to 5 videos we're going to do. We're going to take all of them through in an hour. We're going to film 3 videos in this hour and be done. Or these 5 videos, and we're going to do it in an hour. One more thing related to, I guess, stories and video is using questions and unanswered are a very powerful way of drawing someone in, creating some, like I mentioned here, like suspense and intrigue that's engaging on different levels of their attention. And so think about how you can add these so that it's not just, I woke up and then I went to the store and then I bought this thing and then this funny thing happened and then the end. But maybe it was like, you know what, when I was getting in the car, I was so shocked. This was happening. Like I didn't even understand like why this was there. Or this is out of the ordinary. Something that is going to change where someone is listening to you from. They're gonna have to think about, well, why did they say that? Why would that be out of the ordinary? And it's creating questions in these there these loops that are open. If you close all the loops, then you're not leaving anything for them to like engage with in the story. Like leave open all these loops. Oops, that makes sense. Okay, in the last 2 minutes, here's a few more videos of things that you could do. So buyer tips, right? The market's very different now than it was a year ago, even 6 months ago. What are some videos that you could do on first-time home buyers? If they're buying in this market, what should they watch for? What should they look for? If they're selling, how to prepare the house? What are some things that you could spend time and money on that you'll get your money back? What are some things that you should maybe not do in a house because you won't make your money back? There's tons of videos on investors, like B2B, small office space, BRR, mobile home parks, property management companies, like doing reviews on companies, just video wise, as far as like, hey, here's an experience I had with them, or go find someone that had an experience and do a video for them. You could relocation specialists. You could do videos on vendors or neighborhood or community, on new businesses coming into a city. I have I got two realtor friends that, with the shift with the interest rates, what they've done in the last like 5 to 6 months is they have told stories to their sphere purposefully about, hey, you know, what does retirement look like for you? Like, I'm really curious, and I'm in this space where I'm learning a lot about passive income and taking the responsibility of your retirement on yourself instead of having a third party do it. Have you ever thought about that, or have you ever looked into that? So like asking these questions, having a deep conversation with someone about like what they care about related to money in the future. And then they would share, well, here's a few things that I've done for myself. Here's something I've done for a couple of my clients. And they had converted like, one of them converted like 3 or 4 of his clients to not just be, he bought a house for them to live in, but now that they're buying houses so that they can invest themselves. And so convert your sphere into investors. And the way that you do that is through questions and stories, because they need to know that you know how to do it, and to help them walk them through that path and overcome all the hurdles, but also to coach them through any fear thing that they might encounter. And so that's going to all come out as you ask those questions of helping them understand, like ask them, what do you care about retirement? Like, what does that look like for you? Do you plan to retire at a certain age, or you'll know like comfort level as far as like how many questions you can ask, because some people are uncomfortable about that, and it's pretty personal. And so we kind of talked about your plan. I'd invite you to think about and write down, what is my plan going to be for video? Maybe it's just going to be once a week. Maybe it's just, I'm going to do two a week, and that's all I'm going to do. And these are the things that I connect with that are easy for me to do. Before I end, any questions or thoughts just related to storytelling or video? And I want to give you an opportunity to like, please write down in your calendar, like, I'm going to take action. It's one thing I'm going to do different. And what is that one thing? Anyone willing to share? Anyone? It's fine.
What was the question? Sorry, did you say what my one takeaway was?
Yeah, one takeaway.
Oh, I mean, get better at storytelling, right? We want to engage with, if we're doing anything on social media, I want to get better at storytelling. I've never really thought of it like that.
Cool. Thanks, Tom. Excellent. Well, oh, please.
Sorry, go ahead and finish up and then I'll just remind them.
Okay. Yeah, I hope that there's something useful from our discussion, and I hope you have a takeaway that helps you in your personal life or business. You'll get your CE credit later this week and fill out what Tom is going to talk about, but I would love to connect with you after this class. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one, it's something that I'm really passionate about and love. And so we could do a Zoom, we could do a in-person, but I'd love to help you further kind of build out your plan if that would be useful. So thanks so much for your comments. And it was good to be with you today.
It was great. Thank you. I just want to remind everybody in the chat, I've put the Google form in there. Make sure it's filled out. I will stay on the Zoom for probably 5 more minutes. It needs to be downloaded onto your own device because once the Zoom is done, you will not be able to access it. Yeah, so have a good day.
And then there is no keywords, so just put our
we
name
can-
and license and we're good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Derek.